Two exercises that will never leave my life are deadlifts and front squats. Deadlifts could be anything: Romanian deadlifts, snatch grip deadlifts, or snatch grip Romanian deadlifts, or just conventional off the floor deadlifts, block pulls, whatever you want to call it. Some sort of variation of the deadlift. My favorite is the actual deadlift, the real, competition kind of thing that we do. That's my favorite, although I've had a lot of success with RDLs as well. That exercise or that movement pattern will forever be in my program. I've been burnt many times leaving this plane of motion, this movement pattern off the recipe, if you will. And I've been burnt once, twice, 3 times, 20 million times. I've been burnt. And every single time I've reincorporated that exercise, I've seen effects both physically, how I look aesthetically, and also how I feel, how my hips feel, how my knees feel. Now, we all have exercises like this, and you guys might have different reasons for why you keep those exercises in your system, in your program. For me, deadlifts are a must. Absolutely a must for my hip health. That was the original breakthrough when it came to hip pain. Just doing lots of deadlifts, light deadlifts for heaps of volume, grease in the groove type thing, cured my hip pain. Initially, it was kind of like hitting the nail on the head, right? That was a very powerful moment, and for that alone, I will never forget them. Never forget deadlifts. I've played around with doing them every day. Now I'm doing it every other day, and I'm doing it very, very low volume and just high intensity, just singles all the way, basically up from 100 kilos all the way to 260 nowadays, it seems. I can do it every day. So that's a staple, absolute staple. For me, on a squat everyday program, this is what makes me work. If you guys are hearing this, you're like, okay, Ivan's recommending deadlifts. Ivan's recommending deadlifts for somebody that's squatting every day and has the same lifestyle as me. So a lot of these things are not, 100% transferable to you and your scenario and your, a level of experience and advancement in training. But for me, I'm just telling you exactly what works for me. Deadlifts, sold. The other thing is the front squats. So front squats for me, in a similar way to the deadlift, front squats for me also hit the posterior chain, but not in the sense of that lower posterior chain, hamstring, glutes, lower back. For me, the upper mid back gets absolutely smoked. And why do we need an upper back? Well, a lot of you guys have said to me, what's happening with you and your freaking bench press? Why is the bench press improving? And we've had many different ideas about what the deadlift's role is, or the musculature they use, the lats, the traps. As you're deadlifting, deadlift frequency, maybe there's a carryover there. Maybe it's just sheer freaking amount of squatting that I'm doing, and the anabolic kind of endocrine system gets kind of up and about, and I put on mass and I put on strength that way. That was one theory. Another theory for me is just the front squats, man. The front squats hit the hell out of your traps, and we know traps are key components in that scapular retraction and that stability of for the bench press. So we all know the moment you start peeling your shoulders up or protracting your shoulder blades, the lift is over. You've lost your stability, and it's kind of like shooting a cannon off a canoe, that kind of idea. You need to have a really strong retraction kind of ability. Now, when you are front squatting, you're not necessarily in a retraction of scapula. In fact, you're actually really protracted. But for me, maybe because I kind of lean over a whole bunch, man, these front squats absolutely smoke me. So those two exercises kind of do the same thing in the fact that they just target the back of me. Back of the ear, slice a line all the way down to my profile. I'm basically smashing everything with those two exercises. Calves, hamstring, glutes, lower back, mid back, upper back, traps, lats, all of that stuff. It all gets taxed. I've had a lot of success with these, and I feel fantastic. And I think one of the reasons why I love the front squat so much is, I've spoken about the bench press. I don't get any shoulder discomfort, and I think it's purely because of the front squatting. It's really, really interesting that I don't have to do any pulling motion like a pull-up or a row to keep this much volume on the bench press digestible. I can tolerate this much pressing on the bench press without any equal kind of reverse of that motion, which is like a row or a pull-up or something like that. Front squats, man. Front squats smash my upper back, and it keeps all of that musculature tight and strong to keep that shoulder girdle nice and neutral so it doesn't get overpowered by the pecs, the front delts, from all the bench pressing. So those two exercises, the deadlifts kind of keep the squats happy because of the hips. The front squats, in a way, keep the bench press happy because of the rear kind of shoulder, upper back. Those are just two kind of blatantly obvious things for me. How I train these is kind of similar. And I've kind of tried to keep them similar because they are kind of like, I want to say they're like my accessory to the things that I want to do, which is predominantly I want to squat really well. So I've kept the deadlifts really high intensity, really high frequency, really low volume. I'm basically doing single reps from 100 onwards. So 140, 160, 180, all the way to 260. That's what I'm doing. Same thing with the front squats, because I want to put most of my recovery points into that back squat basket. I've been doing lots of fives. So I was like, okay, I can't be doing lots of fives for the front squats as well because that's going to eat away at the same type of recovery. So I've just gone, okay, let's just visit the front squat and just hit singles every other day on the same day as the deadlift. That's kind of the setup has been. Today I came in and I was like, I want to chase the front squats today. I want to work with doubles or triples. I opted out for doing doubles on the front squat and I went for triples on the back squat. I ended up doing 5 doubles at 150 kilos front squat. And my focus there was keeping my chin up, really kind of fighting that bar. It killed me, man. It absolutely taxed the hell out of me. I could barely squat 180 after that on the back squat. I'm really intrigued now to see what that will do. So part of this thinking was that I looked at my journal and I'm like, man, I've spent quite a long time with fives. I think it's time for me to get into doubles and triples. My hips are feeling fantastic. I've kind of, done a lot of repair of the hip, through these fives. I've been saying to you guys, I've been feeling fantastic. And I think, staying away from those heavy singles on the back squat have done a lot to me. I feel really good. So now if I'm getting into triples on the back squat, what do I do with the front squats? What do I do with the deadlifts? Because the deadlifts have been really high intensity. So can I have a session where I come in and I hit 260 on the deadlift, and I hit 200 or 210 on the back squat, and I hit 160, 170 in the front squat? That's too much intensity. In the previous 2 months basically, the back squat I've been working with 80, 85%. With the deadlifts, I've kind of been working 95 up on the given day as a training max. So now I'm getting into a scenario where everything I'm going to do is going to be like 90% up. That's a lot of intensity. And so automatically I'm like, okay, I need to backtrack the deadlifts. And then automatically I'm like, why don't I go back to the RDLs like I did, in the start of the year? I did a whole lot of 5x5 at 200 kilos RDLs. I can definitely do that. But I'm in a groove. And this is where like these conflicting ideas start popping up, because you can't cater to everything, man. You cannot. I can't cater to everything. Like, for example, I can't do 5x5 back squat, 5x5 front squat, 5x5 on a deadlift. It's impossible. You can try that, but you're going to run yourself into the ground after a week. So where do I stand with this? So if I'm going to do doubles on the front squat, triples on the back squat, I'm going to try and see what is happening to me. And so in the next few days, up to a week, I'm going to be really, really focusing on how my body is feeling and what the numbers are that I'm hitting. I suspect that this daily not daily, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 260 kilo deadlift is going to drop down. Today, man, these 5 doubles on the front squat smoked me, man. Like, I'm spent. I got to the back squat and I'm like exhausted. So I'm guessing that tomorrow's deadlift is not going to be very good. I'm guessing. So I'm not entirely sure. But I know that recovery points for the posterior chain are very, very expensive. So there's going to be a fundamental change in my approach. I really wanted to get to 200 kilos for a set of 5. All I managed to do was get to 190 for a set of 5. I ended up doing 3 sets of 5. And then I kind of did a bit of beating around the bush for a little bit, trying to work out hip flexors, glute medius, all of that. So I've kind of spent, I want to say, 1 or 2 weeks here, just not wasting time, but spraying my energy around and not having a focus. I decided to do this day the way it is. I feel like I want to do triples and doubles in the squats and continue to do singles and just auto-regulate them heavily. So let's see how this goes. Let's see how it goes. I really want to start feeling 200 kilos on the back squat. I want to start thinking about getting 180 on the front squat. I want to start kind of getting rid of some of this volume at that 80% range and start pushing the doubles and singles. That's kind of what my gut is telling me right now. That's what I want to do. I don't want to say stale, but I feel like the 5s are getting stale for me now. I need some doubles and triples, and I'm excited to think about that. My only anxiety is how does the deadlift fit onto this, and how do I share the load between back and front. So anyway, lots of different ideas. I'll see how I go. I've got a few different goals in my mind right now, but the old age question for me has always been, how do you incorporate all of the lifts, all of the 4 lifts that I've kind of cared about: back and front squat, deadlift, and bench. Historically speaking, I've always let go of the bench press because that's kind of the least of my favorite, and I kind of take those points and I put them somewhere else. This time around, I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to say I'm going to go into a block of triples and doubles, and let's see where it ends up. I really want to see where my squat is. I really want to see where my bench press is. Never in the past have I been repping out 180s on the back squat like that, 190s on the back squat like that. Never in the past have I been repping out 120, 130 kilos in the bench press for a set of 5 like that, ever. I think my maxes are higher, so I think it's only a logical thought, logical plan to just start going into these doubles and triples and start peeking over the fence to see where I end up. I would love to hit 210 for a set of 2 or a set of 3, something like that. That's going to give me encouragement that 220s in the bag for the back squat. Anyway, lots of different ideas, lots of different kind of goals to accomplish. Let's just say blanket rule. Let's just go for triples for all of them except the deadlift. The deadlift I'll continue doing what I'm doing with the deadlift, which is singles. Auto-regulate, be honest about it. Everything else is going to be triples, except I feel like, just to keep it a bit interesting, I want to go doubles on the front squat, just to kind of break it up a little bit, so it's not just triples everywhere. So triples, doubles for back squat and front squat. I'll do triples as well for bench press. So let's see where this goes. I might get into a situation where my central nervous system is fried, because it's one thing working with the 5s, but working with 3s and 2s is you start getting into heavy weight. I might run out of electricity in terms of central nervous system. So let's see how it pans out. But that's kind of the goal. A lot of you guys will understand that I've done enough 5s. It's basically been since the start of the year, man. Like, I started doing 5s at the start of the year. That's how far back look, but it's probably even more than that. So we're doing 2 months, basically, almost 3 months of 5s. I think it's enough. Let's start doing some doubles and triples. I'm definitely going to go back to 5s. I definitely want to start repping out 200 for set of 5. That's definitely a goal. But let's give a bit of a change to the plan for now. Justin Clark and Alfredus, thank you guys for jumping on the list, for supporting me on Patreon. It means a lot. You now join a freaking army. The 4th page is also filling now on Patreon. It's incredible to see. I'm blessed. Thank you very much, guys. It is now quite late in the day. I had a whole bunch of things on today, so the editing and the voiceover is kind of far removed from the session today, but nevertheless, I've managed to get it in. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.